The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
Caution. You are now entering the all-consuming realm of Shay's Paranormal Chat, where the things that are better left unsaid are actually said.
Shut up and sit down.
You're listening to Shay's Paranormal Chat. Paranormal podcasting done Shay's way. Tons of fun.
Dude, seriously?
A bit sarcastic.
Hashtag investigator, not hunter.
But always real.
Hashtag data, not evidence.
Don't get your panties in a twist.
Oh my god, really?
This is real, raw conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hello, good evening everybody in TGIF as always, and of course, thank God it's Friday because we get to spend it with you guys. I am Shay Carroll, and of course, the beautiful and magnificent Kelly McCarville, the co-host. The beaming light of the show is also on.
Oh my God, beaming light of the show.
I try to, you know, I try to change it up every once in a while. So, beaming something. I could just be honest. I could just start being. I also have the asshole on.
My bitch co-host. Here she comes.
Here she comes. She is here. Tonight should be an awesome show. We have Denise Pridemore on. How you doing?
Fine. How are you guys?
Good. Excited to get this going.
Or to get it over with?
No, I didn't mean it that way. I try to keep the show an hour, but
we try.
We try.
Being the operative word there.
Yeah. I got to paint after this, so you know.
Yeah, who signs up to paint after a late night show? What the heck were you thinking?
Well, they already are, and it's a good friend of mine, and she helps me with a lot of stuff. So, and the other friend is in from out of town, and a family member just died, and they just had the funeral. So, trying to keep busy.
I see.
So, that's how it goes. And before we get going, of course, I cheat. I'm going to show some love to the first people in chat because that means Kelly has to do all the shout-outs at the end of the show, which I love. Of course, we have Darren Buss in the house. We have Rebecca Williamson. We have Mama Pat Kraft. We have Mama Deb. We have Christopher. And I'm scrolling as quick as I can. I'm sure Matt's in there somewhere. Hey, Allison's with us from REP. And there'll be more that are coming, I'm sure. We have Stephanie in the house. So thank you guys for being the first ones in chat. So, all right, let's see. Where do we want to start? Denise, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
No.
I pass on that question.
I have been the host of the Paranormal Pride for almost 5 years. My anniversary is coming up here on April 27th. And I was, I know everybody hates the ZB guy, but I was on Ghost Adventures back in 2015 for one of the most famous haunted houses in the Midwest, the Sally House. And my husband and I were the tour guides there for 7 years. And we no longer do that. But again, I probably am the foremost authority on the actual real history of that house from all the research that I've done. I am also a volunteer for another house in Alton, Illinois called the McPike Mansion, which was recently on Ghost Adventure. Well, it was on Ghost Adventures last year, and met a lot of people through there. Like Coyote Chris Sutton, that is one of Kelly's favorite people.
Yeah.
And let's see, just a lot of people really there, and we've been doing that for 10 years. Yep, 11 years this year actually, and I'm basically the go-to person during the camp out. My name becomes a cuss word at McPike Mansion during the camp out. But we have a really good time there. We've investigated we've probably done over 500 investigations. Last year I helped out with Spook Show Con as the MC, which was interesting in a lot of ways. And this year I'm a speaker at a Paracon down in Conway, Arkansas, Dark Night Paranormals, which I did not know I was a speaker until yesterday.
Oh, I knew months ago because I made the banners.
Yes. So when I looked at it, I was like, I'm a speaker? What in the heck am I going to talk about? So now I got to come up with something to talk about.
I think you can do it.
Oh, I will. Yeah. I mean, I can talk about almost anything, anytime. So as long as they ask me, as long as it's something I know about, I can talk about it all day long. Yeah. I've investigated places in Seattle. We went to this haunted location in the Bahamas on Harbor Island. So That's a long distance.
Nice.
I'm from Baltimore, so I lived in a lot of places that were very old and haunted. Used to hang out at Edgar Allan Poe's house. Not legal, though. It wasn't legal.
It was a different time, people. It was a different time.
It was back in the 70s, and I was married in 81. So I left in 81. So it was before then. It was before I knew that, hey, I'm really trespassing. I'm doing something bad. But I didn't do any damage. Yeah. That was the good thing. I never did any damage. But yeah, I mean, I've been to so many places. It's hard to keep count of how many we've been to. Some of the places we went, we didn't know they were haunted when we went, but we knew when we left. So it's always interesting.
So how'd you get into the paranormal in the first place?
When I was 4 years old, I had an out-of-body experience. I lived in Paterson, New Jersey. And those of you who watched the Holzer Files, there was a place in Paterson, New Jersey that they went to, but that's unrelated. But that's where I used to live, and we were at our house, and I got up and I told Dad, I said, Grandma's dead. Yeah, no, she's not. And I said, okay, well, next morning, they said, Grandma died overnight. And back then, you didn't make phone calls in the middle of the day. You always made phone calls at night because it was cheaper. Sure. Yep. It was so expensive to call during the day. So that night, they called and told my dad that Grandma had died in a car accident. And I told him, no, she didn't die in a car accident. I told him how she died, but I was 4. Oh, you just got an imagination. Well, when I was 10, I had an out-of-body experience and saw my father be murdered. And I got up that morning and I walked out in the kitchen and didn't even really notice that my dad's girlfriend was sitting at the table with my mother. I know, odd thing. My parents weren't divorced, but that's what it was. And I told my mom, I go, Dad was murdered and exactly how. And that's when she pulled me aside and she says, you can't tell people about this stuff. And she blocked it all out. She blocked out all of it. But I remember all of it to this day. I mean, I've talked to my uncle who witnessed all of it. And he said, everything is just like you said. I said, well, yeah, I mean, it was a big deal when your father gets murdered. You remember everything of it. thing was I was 20 or I think 19 miles away is what it was. I was in one part of Baltimore and he was in the other part. And I was right about all of it. And that's the part that scared my mom the most, was how right I was. So after that is, I'd been seeing stuff all along, but I never thought anything of it because it was normal. When you see it all the time, and I know Kelly's going to attest to that, when you see it all the time, it's just normal for you.
It's another part of everyday life.
Right. But out of body experiences are something totally different to me. It's kind of scary, especially when you're 10 years old. But, I've written the story out multiple times, and every time I write the story out, you're not going to believe this, it deletes off my computer, or my computer crashes, or something happens to where I've written the story about 10 times, and every time the computer dies. Never saves. So apparently it's just going to be a word of mouth story for the rest of my life. But because there's a lot of people that would like to know more. And what we found out later on in life, though, is that my grandfather, who murdered my dad, I know, a whole nother story there, he was actually a serial killer. He had killed my grandmother, and when I was born, he was in jail for killing my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And so, needless to say, it's a really unusual story, and that I'm this normal. Who'd have thunk? And,
so is your grandfather still alive then?
No, he died in, in 1992, February 12th, 1992.
So someone who maybe doesn't want the story out there would potentially be able to mess with it.
Yep. And it could be that I'm thinking that the family doesn't want it out.
Yeah.
The family that's passed. But, it is what it is. Someday, maybe I'll just write it out.
I was going to say, to be devil advocate, to find out if it's a coincidence or not, write it down on paper and give it to somebody else to type up.
If it bursts into flame when she's done writing it out,
that's what I mean.
Then we're done. No more.
Yep.
So as far as that goes, there's a lot of things that would have caused me to keep on seeing this, besides the trauma of seeing my own father murdered. But it's just been part of my life. And I've told people this before, I could have used his murder to be a catalyst in a good way or a bad way. And I decided a long time ago I wanted it to be a good way. So I've never been in trouble. Yeah, I did some things, but I've never been arrested. I've never did anything really horrible.
In trouble if you get caught.
Yeah, well, the things I did do that got me in trouble didn't get me in trouble with anything bad. So, and look at where I am now. I'm married to Ron. We've been together 36 years. It is what it is. It's just a part of my life that I don't talk about a whole lot, but it had to be the catalyst that kept me involved in the paranormal. If it had stopped when I was 4, for a lot of kids, it stops once they start elementary school. Some of them it stops by the time they hit puberty. For me, it never stopped.
Because they're taught that this isn't normal and society doesn't accept it, so it's pushed in their brain to not accept it, and they push it away.
Well, that's what I was told. I was told to keep my mouth shut, don't tell people. I was already the weird kid in school because of the fact that my father was dead. And my mom was single. She was only 36 and had 3 kids and wasn't married and all this other stuff. So we were already not liked by people because we were different. So it's I can't be any more different. I mean, what in the heck's that going to do to me? So I just made sure that I just didn't say stuff. And the people who knew me the best still didn't know. In fact, Ron didn't know about any of this until we had been married 11 years. So we'd been together 12 years before I said anything.
Oh, wow.
Well, we didn't, we were sitting there watching a TV show one night, probably a haunting or something like that, but some show about hauntings.
Great show. Yep.
And we just started watching it, and we started talking about it, and that's when we found out that we both had an interest. So it is kind of weird. I'd been telling him for years that the house that we lived in was haunted, and he was like, yeah, right. And he didn't believe me until the girls started telling him about the boy in our house. And so I just, once he didn't believe me, I just didn't say anything. He goes, you didn't tell the girls about this, did you? And I go, nope, never said a word, because, the way I was raised, you just didn't talk about it. So the girls were saying, there's this boy in my room. Kept telling me about it. And I said, well, just tell him to go away. And I said, he'll go away. But he would come in my room all the time, and he would say, Mom, and I would say, what? And he'd go away. Even when I was pregnant with Lacey's now 33, so that tells you something. It's been a long time. It was a long time. But we had no proof of anybody dying in our house. The internet wasn't readily available. I didn't know. I knew how to go search microfiche and all that, but I didn't know what I was looking for. And we were at this car dealership in Overland Park, Kansas, and we were filling out the paperwork on the car, and the guy looks at the address. He goes, I know your address. I used to live in your neighborhood. You live in the suicide house. I was like, what? And I said, well, that explains a lot. And my husband looks at me, and it was like this big light bulb went off in our head, and we had known something happened. We knew that somebody had used a gun. So I'm not going to get into it. It was a shotgun. And we had little pellet holes in our walls in our downstairs. And every time I would spackle over them, they would sink in. Every time. We had lived there about 11, 12 years at the time. And, I keep spackling in these holes and painting the walls. And a couple weeks later, a month later, the holes would be back. Well, after the guy told us that about the boy, and we knew his mother, we met his mother. She was friends with the neighbor. Nobody ever told us. That was the thing. None of the neighbors ever told us this. But we knew that there was a lot of suicides in our neighborhood. We just didn't know it was our house until that day. Well, after we found out about this, I filled in those holes, and the boy came back, and I told him to go to his mother. I didn't know what to tell him at that time, but I said, go to your mother. She loves you, go to where you're loved. And I never had to fill those holes in again. It was the last time. And nobody says anything about that house being haunted now. But the people who lived there before us had said some strange things about it, things that would happen in the house. But, it was like, whatever, so it was a weird thing. So all of those things lead up to now. And I'm involved in the paranormal. I'm at least chin high deep in the paranormal now.
I like that. Chin high.
Yeah.
At least.
At least.
Yeah.
We've been getting a bunch of questions.
I'm trying. Yeah, I lost my.
I'm going to try to keep up with them. So Darren was asking, what do you fear the most of paranormal?
I fear people believing the untruths. I really do, because those untruths can cause so much damage to the spirits, the location, and yourself. There are so many falsehoods at some of these locations that it makes it hard to know what the real truth is. You've got places out there saying one story, and then when you go out and you research all the stuff and you find out that's not even close to the truth. I think that's what the biggest thing is me going into a place and believing all the lies. Because I'll tell you, the first time we went to this one location, it had been on multiple TV shows, and every TV show had a different story. And even the people that were running the place had a different story. And so you had no clue what to believe about the location. But it's the lies, whether they're about a location, about a person, about anything, the lies is the thing I fear the most, is people believing lies.
I like that answer.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that answer 100%. I mean, that's one of the things that I try so hard to do when I'm out investigating too, is just find out what's the truth of the story. And, you know, it's always fun to have the dark, the demons everywhere you go, but maybe it's just a poor misunderstood soul. So, yeah, just finding out that truth is huge.
And usually it is. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Very true.
Yep.
Okay. So what is the best, what's the best thing you've ever captured for data or evidence, as some people call it?
Well, the second time we ever went to the Sally house, I got this picture of a face in the window, and we were the last people to leave. So we knew no one was in there. And if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see it. It's not the profile picture, but it's the picture behind. And there is a face in there, and it took me 4 years to find out who it was. And I have a picture of Dr. Finney. And if you hold that picture up next to this, it looks just like him. So,
is that your
Dr.
personal?
Finney was, huh?
Is that your personal Facebook or your?
Yep, that's my personal Facebook. I mean, we had some other things, but it's not like I can show them to you. They're personal experiences that I had. But this one is one. Yeah, this is one I can show you. My husband actually took the picture, and for a while there, I thought it was a toy. You know, I kept going, it's not anything, until I got the picture of Dr. Finney and I put it next to it, and it's like, this is him. Yeah, this is him. It had his eyebrows, it had his eyes, and, you know, it was a long time for me to believe that this was actually true. There's been some other things that I've seen of other people's evidence there that hopefully people will be able to see someday in the movie called The Deep Darkness. Some really good evidence of paranormal, but not in the Sally house, in the house next door to the Sally house. That was actually owned by Dr. Finney, not the Sally house, which wasn't owned by Dr. Finney.
There's some really interesting energy around the house too, just not even just the house. I know when I was there, even the yard and the area behind the house, which used to be the front of the house actually, was, yeah.
That is where I told Ghost Adventures that I see an Indian in the yard. Mm-hmm. And he's a watcher, is what he is. I always called him a sentry, but I always saw him out there, and he never said a word. He just stood there the whole time. And I'd seen him in other places in town, but this was a good place at one time to watch who's coming in off the river. If you're standing up there and you're looking down, and there's no trees, when there's no tree or no leaves, you can see where there was a boat, not a boat ramp, but there was a place where boats could come up. There is now a boat ramp there, but you can see it. And, you know, with as much time as I spent in that house, you know, it is amazing what you can hear and feel. And there also used to be a shed back from when you're standing at the back door to the left corner there, used to be a shed, but he would stand not where that shed was. It was near there's a tree in the very back. He would stand near that tree. And it wasn't like I got a picture of him or anything. I saw him. But one day, a friend of ours happened to be in Atchison, and she took a picture. And as soon as I saw it, I go, that's him. And she goes, what do you see? I said, I see a Native American. All she saw was a shaft of light.
You're right.
You know, but me, on the other hand, I'm going, I know who that is. I see him all the time. Mm-hmm. And I kept trying to explain to Ghost Adventures, it's not a Native American with feathers. There's no feathers. And he goes, what do you mean, no feathers? I said, I assume he's a Kaw Indian. Kaw Indians usually only had one feather, if they had any. And he goes, well, this must be a Native American burial ground. I said, no, the Native American burial grounds are to the north of town and to the south of town. There's none here. I said, I don't know. I mean, why did the Indians leave this area? But they left this guy stayed to watch. It's very odd when you think about it, because it's high ground. It's never going to flood up there.
Right.
But yeah, but the river has widened since then. But, there's all kinds of things. But that was kind of weird when she caught that picture, and, it is what it is.
Well, and it just backs up the stuff that you were feeling, which is why I think it's so very, very important when you're on investigations to have not only somebody who has abilities, but also to have that scientific stuff, the equipment, the tools, the toys there to help just validate what everybody's getting. So that's always been my stance. So anyways, just to keep going with questions in chat. Questions in the chat. Can't talk. What are your views on holy water? Is there something to it, or is it just water?
There's something to it, especially if you use it with the right prayer. I have friends that are true demonologists down in Springfield, Missouri. Well, she's there. He passed. And I truly believe what they have to say. I've seen Ralph Sarchi use his holy water and things happen. Unless somebody's faking, I see the power in it. But I will tell you, one time Johnny Hauser brought holy water to the Sally house, and as soon as he threw it, it evaporated completely. I mean, it was a strange thing to hear him say. I didn't see it, but I believe him. He's one of the few people that I believe. But yeah, he said he threw the holy water at the basement floor, and before it hit the floor, it was gone. So there has to be something there. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask a follow-up question to that, though, because this is always what I've wondered. So, does holy water work for the people because they believe it's going to work? What if somebody doesn't believe in holy water?
I think that is a really good question. I think that's true. I mean, if the person is not religious at all, will it work? I would assume that no. I would assume no, because they don't want it. They don't believe in it. But like I said, I don't know. I've never tested that.
I would love to do an experiment with that sometime, though, just to go in and just try it out. It's just a curiosity thing for me, because I believe exactly what you said, is that it's the person's belief in it that makes it work, and
Kelly, we became friends over a question like this on that show we were on together when they asked a similar question, and I said,
way back when,
if I believe this pillow is going to be my protection, and I have enough faith in it, the pillow will protect me as much as your shiny rock thingies, crystals. There we go.
Yeah. No, and I actually said that at one of the expos that we were at. It was the Ames Expo, I think. Yeah. And we'd kind of gotten a question, something like that. And it's my new favorite. It's like, if I believe that me chucking this bagel at your head is going to make the demon come out of you, well, then guess what? It could.
But doesn't the person that you're throwing it have to believe it too?
Yeah, in that case, yeah, probably.
Well, that adds an extra little, yeah.
See, we could go on all day. Yep. But
you got this whole new conundrum of it, right? So.
Yeah, I believe that my holy water, which is moonshine, is going to get everything out of me, and everybody's love me while I'm drinking it.
I bet your moonshine could get everything out of me.
I don't know. Never mind. I was going to say something really wrong. Never mind.
I'm kidding. For those of you listening, I don't drink that much. I'm teasing. I haven't drank in over a year, but I need to. Right. Here, Ron in the back, he goes, "You need another beer, Denise?"
I didn't hear him, actually.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, me and my health water.
Yes, Ron. I need another beer, please. Can you get me one?
Yes, please.
Yeah, he has a Corona.
Oh, God, quarantine him. So I'm going to kind of bounce around on some of these questions because there's a lot of questions in here. What are your views on orbs?
Unless there's something else to go with it, it's a piece of dust. You know, you have to have some other thing to go with it. Now, I've seen, I will tell you, I was at this place in Atchison, not the Sally House, but it used to be called the River House. It used to be called the Pepper Mill. And I saw this giant light following somebody down the hall. And I saw it with my own eyes. You know, is that an orb or is that a light?
I call them light anomalies. When you see it with your own eyes, could mean the same thing as an orb to some people, but I call them light anomalies if you see them, physically see them.
Yeah, I physically saw it and happened to film it by accident.
Me too. I've done that once.
We had this cell phone, and I just needed a light. I didn't have a flashlight, and so I couldn't figure it out. It was a brand new cell phone, so I just turned it on and was using the light, and I was holding it to the side, and I'm telling Ron that I see this light following them down the hallway, and it's this big light. I don't know what it is, but again, I have it on film. Do I believe that they're all orbs are dust or water or whatever? I think it depends on the situation. You know, did something else happen with it? Is it a different color? Does it speak to you? I don't know. I mean,
I don't think they're all dust, but if you show me a picture or video of them, I'm going to go with dust every time unless there's something else to go with it. Only because
I agree.
You have to rule out whatever you can, in my opinion.
If I'm not there at the time, I don't usually listen. I don't usually believe people too much. But I will tell you, we were at the Belvoir Winery one time, and we're taking pictures and all this stuff, and it looks like a snowstorm. It was dust.
Yep.
So, yeah, a lot of people died there. And we were with Adam and Alec Tillery and Gideon of Creeps, and
great people.
It's the first time. Yep. So we just happened to see all this dust, and I'm like, well, that's got to be dust because it looks weird. And Adam comes up behind me and goes, "Yep, it's all dust." I was like, "Yay!" But this was way back when. I mean, this might have been like 2010. Seems like a really long time ago. But I'd have to have something else to go along with that for me to say, yeah, it's a spirit.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
I would agree. This one's interesting, and I'm trying to think if we have ever talked about this, because I know we've talked about a million things, but what are your views on Ouija boards?
I've never used one and don't plan on it. That's all. I use dowsing rods. I have a pendulum. But I hardly ever use those anymore now that I know that I'm actually speaking to spirits and I know the answer before I ask most of the time. So I have never used a Ouija board. So that's it.
First of all, I want to say I don't use them either. So this isn't, I'm not attacking you. But this is a follow-up question because like I said, I don't use Ouija boards either. But what is the difference between using a Ouija board, using a dowsing rod, or any other kind of any other piece of equipment? I'm just curious to hear you answer.
Not much.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
But again, like I said, I don't hardly use them anymore because of the fact that they're mostly for other people to see that it's matching up with what I'm saying. Yeah. They can, but now I just tell them, you use your dowsing rods and I'll tell you what they're going to say, as opposed to, I mean, they get to be a pain in the rear to be carrying around.
You can swear on here, don't worry.
Oh, well, I'm used to not doing it because I'm not allowed to on mine.
I would be fired. I would have to fire myself if I couldn't swear because I slip up.
Oh, well, ours is, they have letters, so they tell me you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because we're a lettered station, I can't cuss.
Yeah.
But And I don't do that bad. I mean, Kelly's been around me. She knows I don't cuss that bad. Even when I should.
I cuss like a sailor, and she still loves me. So
that's because I can keep right up with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's pretty stout there with her words.
You know, they're sentence enhancers, okay?
And we teach each other new ones all the time.
Yeah, I used to be that person, and I learned how to stop that.
Yeah.
Kids will do it. When the grandkids start saying what you're saying, that takes care of it.
Well, see, I'm in between. I didn't swear when my kids were little. Now they're all grown up, and I have no grandkids yet. So, and I started having kids really young. So I didn't swear for a long time. So now I'm just, letting them fly all the time.
Well, that's because you got teenagers. And they make you swear.
I was going to say, maybe that's what it is then, because I didn't much when they were little, and now they're teenagers and older, and I don't have grandkids yet, and I better not for a while. And, sorry, that was...
Like I said, their teenagers make you curse. I swear they do. But my youngest will be 21 this year, so I can say whatever I feel like it now. Except not in front of the baby. Just not in front of the two grandkids. So
you've been to a million locations.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is a couple of your favorites and why?
One of my favorites is the Merchants Cafe in Seattle. She gave me the keys and just let me go wherever I wanted on one Valentine's Day. Just said, hey, go here. And I did witness this very angry religious lady in the downstairs, and it was not long after it had been on Dead Files, and I didn't believe what Amy had. I don't usually believe everything that they say. Okay, I think Amy is very, very talented, Amy Allen. So I didn't want to really believe that what she was saying, but it was true that this woman was very religious, and she was angry that people were there in that building and stuff. And Marcy, who owns it, I don't know if she still does, she was just so friendly, and she sat down with me and had dinner with me on that. I mean, I know Valentine's Day, I'm in Seattle, I'm by myself. And I went to Kel's the night before, Kel's Irish Pub. Then this night I went over there to the Merchants. And there was hardly anybody in the Merchants. There was maybe 3 other people there. And I was by myself. So, Marcy came and sat with me, and we had a really good time. But while I was waiting for my dinner is when she gave me the keys and said, go anywhere you want. And that's one of the places I wish someday, if Ron ever wanted to go to Seattle, which he doesn't.
It's cold.
Not all the time. This was in February. It wasn't bad when I went, but it was a very interesting place. Another place that I want to go, and it's going to sound odd, but my number one place that I want to go is the location where my dad was murdered. It was a house I lived in when I was a kid for a couple years, and I'd like to go there and see if he's ever hanging around there, or if his father is regretful and he's hanging around there. Would
it be for investigation, or would you pick up what you could there, or both?
Both. I just like to know. We've never went back there after the weekend before he died. We had been over there to see him, and we've never went back. But, everybody talks about all these places out there. And, yeah, I'd love to go to Ireland. I'd love to go to England and check out some of that stuff. Germany, there are some really great places there. A friend of mine does tours out in Australia. Those would be, Pete Clifford. And it would be great to see those places, but family speaking, that one there would be great. The bad part is the location that it's at it wasn't a good neighborhood then when we lived there. It's probably a lot worse neighborhood now. And And the thing is did it bleed over into any of the other row homes and things like that? I don't know. So, and then there's some places that we'd like to go back and see if they're different than they were the last time. Yep. Ron and I love to go to battlefields. Bad part is every time we go to a battlefield, it pours down rain. So do you really want us at Gettysburg Battlefield Bash is one question. But that's what happens. Every time we go to one, it rains. And
it's like
so
Kelly with light bulbs.
Right.
So the question is, you know, we'd love to go back to any one of those battlefields, but so far it doesn't seem like we're going to make it without the rain. So, but
everybody bring your umbrella.
Oh yeah. So we'll find, there's some places that we'll find that we'll want to go back to. Right now, you know, one of Ron's favorite places is Malvern Manor.
Oh yeah.
We've been 3 times. Is it 3 or 4? 4. And Belleville Winery was great. We've stayed there. We stayed there. We went there before it was a bed and breakfast. We stayed there for our anniversary. I don't know. Somebody would have to remind me of some place that I've been to see if I want to go back. Because there's so many.
I go back to as many as possible and as many times as possible. I haven't been back to all of them, like the ones that are far away, but I try to go back as often as possible. I'm trying to figure out. Darren, he's probably typing. Oh, never mind. He said skip it. All right, hold on. I'm looking. That was my next question.
I had thought of one and I can't remember it.
You think? I like Denise. We like to include. I like this as everybody's show, the listeners, and they throw out a lot of awesome questions, and it's a very interactive show. And go ahead.
I remember what it was. Sorry. Is there any place that you've been that you would never go back to?
There we go.
So far, there's just some places we can't go back to because somebody's not going with me. So, is there any place that I won't go back to? Well, I won't go back to the Sally House. There's no need for me to go back. My curiosity has been handled. Everything was done that needed to be done. So I won't be ever going back there. So, long story, and I can't tell you until I'm released from my NDA.
All right. So, how about a fun question? Okay. I see. Are you afraid of Friday the 13th, or
no?
How do you feel about it?
It's Is it a day just like any other day? Has no supernatural influence on me at all.
See?
Usually, it's a really good day. Because everybody else is tripping over themselves to try to avoid it. Hey, I found water and toilet paper today. I'm doing great.
Oh my gosh, you're so much luckier than I am then.
Oh yeah.
So special shout out to my father in heaven. 5 years today, he's passed away. He passed away on Friday the 13th. It's 5 years today. And it's Friday the 13th again. No, don't be sorry. He was very, very sick. It was very quick. But we miss him. But it's just weird that it's the 5th anniversary and it's Friday the 13th again. But I like Friday the 13th for the most part. I'm glad that sounds horrible. I'm not glad he died, but he was riddled with cancer by the time they found out it was stage 4, and it went quickly to his brain. So,
well, then thank goodness
it was a blessing in disguise that he went within 5 months.
You've lived through that.
Yeah. Let's see. What other questions are we missing? I meant that in a good way. I didn't mean to bring the show down. I meant it in a positive.
No, that is a positive. You know, he's out of pain. He's watching over you. He's happy. He knows that you're mostly happy, yep. And that's all that matters.
Yep.
Am I right, Kelly?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry, I was scrolling back through looking at the questions that were out here. So there's a question, and I'm trying I'm debating if I want to ask it, because there was another one I was going to ask you too. How do you feel about all the negativity that's out there in the paranormal field, about how things are being portrayed these days?
I think it's horrible. I wish that it didn't happen. I mean, I'm watching really good people being raked over the coals for things that they shouldn't be, and other people that should be that aren't.
Exactly.
But again, it's not up to me to judge. It's up to me to keep my nose out of it. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything.
Amen. Thank you. Say it one more time. Everybody listen.
If you can't say something nice, don't say anything. And if it's on Facebook, if you don't like it, just scroll past it. You don't have to report to people.
Sorry.
Thank you. I mean, I don't see every post out there, and I try to tell this to people all the time. When you have 4,000 friends on Facebook, you don't see everybody's posts. You have to go out there and look at them individually to see what's going on. I'm not going to do that. If I care about you, I'm checking on you. Okay. If I don't like it, either I didn't see it or I'm not starting an argument with you.
Exactly.
Because again, what decision you make is up to you. But the decisions I make are up to me, and I just choose to stay out of it.
And why is that not okay with people? Why can't people have different beliefs, different opinions, different theories, especially when it comes to paranormal? I want to leave the rest of the stuff out, but paranormal-wise, don't we learn more that way?
Yeah, we do. And the other thing is just because one person does it one way doesn't mean that that's the right way. We do not have a scientific method down pat yet that we're all supposed to be following.
This isn't science.
Exactly.
Not yet. Unfortunately, it's not science yet. So nobody knows. There is no proof. Nobody can prove the ghosts are real.
If you can't prove the ghosts are real, you cannot prove that one method works better than another. You can't. Mm-hmm. Period.
It's a pseudoscience, and until there is a way to make it a real science, then people need to keep their mouths shut. Yep. And don't. Who says that me sitting there with my hands out asking for the spirits to come talk to me, staring at the wall, isn't going to make it happen? More than likely, it's not. But we don't know. Who's to say that? Right. I don't know that. You don't know that. We will figure it all out. And, I like investigating with other people to find out how they're doing it, because how they're doing it might be more beneficial than the way I'm doing it.
Or at least make you rethink.
Yeah.
Yep. Darren and
I figure out a new method, or you figure out a way to bring something new into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. One time we were out at the Belvoir Winery. We were getting nothing. I mean, not a thing. And again, this is another time, and we happened to be with the creeps again. And I don't mean that negatively. That's their group name. and we weren't getting a thing. And so my daughter got out money and threw it on the floor and said, "I'll pay you to show up." We didn't know if it was going to work or not. But she was, she wasn't even yet, what was she? She might have been 19. And she goes, "Here's the money. Maybe that'll make you show up." And she started talking to him and saying, "Do you know what this is?" And things like that. And we actually got some activity from that. And Adam and Alec were like, "I didn't think that was going to work." But it did, But, why would... these are people that were in a hospital. A dollar bill still looks pretty much the same as it did back in the 40s and 50s.
Hey, we left money. Now. We left money for a prostitute that was supposedly roaming location.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
She knows what money is.
Yeah. So we've tried it.
So just don't leave a Sacagawea dollar in a location that would never have known what that was. That's a whole different ball game. But yeah, it was. But yeah,
Sorry.
you can. I mean, I hung out with Chris and Kelly at the theater there in DeKalb, the Egyptian theater, and I watched them investigate. I just kind of stayed back and kept quiet while they were investigating, and Fred was also there, and it was interesting. Ron was hanging out in the ladies' room with with some ladies, but they were all having a good time. I went down and hung out with some other people in other parts of the boat. I mean, I was with everybody that night, well, except for my husband. I was with everybody but my husband that night, and it was interesting watching everybody else's investigation methods. And the night before, I had watched Mike Ricksecker and Shauna investigate as well. And like I said, it's always interesting, and you learn something new from every person that you hang out with during an investigation. It might just be one thing, but it's something you're going to remember. And that's, I mean, I know that Kelly likes to lay down and investigate.
Sometimes. Depends on where I'm at.
Especially that day. It was a long day. So, but we had a good
I have no
time.
comment.
It was the stage. It was fun.
All right.
I was laying down on the stage,
Oh, I saw I like that picture of you. Now that I think about it, I used it once. Right?
Oh, I think the one you're thinking about, I was actually standing down on the floor.
Yeah, but that's
Chris,
the same location.
Yeah, that's that same location, but
Yes.
Chris has been up on the stage for that one, and he snapped that picture when I wasn't paying attention.
Our hour has gone by so quick. Kelly, any last questions? You'll have to come back. Seriously, there's so much more. This went by so quick.
Well, we need to ask, where are you going to be? What do you have coming up?
Oh, yeah, I meant any other questions, because we have one more very important question we have to ask.
Oh, so sorry. We'll get to my question then. Please proceed, Miss Shea.
All right. Well, it's the most important paranormal buzz / daring question there is.
Oh, okay.
We ask every guest on pretty much every show on this network. Darren asks it, and if he's not here, we ask for him.
I have one of those listeners too.
Yep. What is the one object in the whole wide world you would never want to be haunted?
There's so many ways I could go with that.
Oh, and we've had them all. We've had them all.
has.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't want anything battery powered to be haunted.
See? Yeah, that's like number 4 answer. Let me tell you that it's up there. It's different devices, but we get what you. Yeah. Yeah.
Just being clean.
Yeah. See.
Battery operated.
Either that, or it would be really horrible if a blow-up doll ever got to be haunted.
Oh my God! How scary would that be?
I know, that would be horrible.
Chucky, did you grow up? What the hell? Michelle, what's her last name? Belange, how do you say it? From Paranormal State?
Belanger? Or Belanger.
Belanger, thank you. On RAP said butt plugs.
That would be bad.
Yes. She was being funny. We have to, I got to
she
throw that
was.
in there, but she put something else out there, but it was funny, so. All right, Kelly, now you may ask your question.
Well, let me do this while I'm thinking of it. I know we're not quite at the end of the show, but Mama Pat has been keeping track for me because she takes good care of me as well. Some shout outs before we get to the end of the show.
Yes.
To Christopher, Miss Shea, Allison, Darren, Mama Deb, Mama Pat, Rebecca Williamson, Stephanie, Denise, of course, and Freddie.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. So what did I ask? What did I ask?
Where's she gonna be? What she got coming up?
Oh,
Where
that's
can people
right.
find her?
See, this is why I need a keeper.
We both
So hey,
do.
where are you gonna be? What do you got coming up?
Okay, so my plans changed a little bit, but only because of the coronavirus. But we've got this. You can usually find me every Monday night at 7 o'clock on WBHM-DB.com at 7 p.m. Central. And the show runs about 2 hours. Kelly's been on it before. And this week, my guest this week is Mike Ricksecker. And then I'm taking a break. We're driving out to see our kids out in Vegas, I hope. We were supposed to be on a radio show while we were out there, but they decided that they didn't want to run the risk of possibly spreading any virus around, so we're not doing that. So we're going to just hang out with our kids for 4 to 5 days, and our granddaughter. So we're going to do that. Yeah, we'll probably listen to a show anyway, but that is what it is. And then after that, we'll be back, and we're going to Haunted Road Media Paracon 3 at Mineral Springs in June. Kelly will be there, and we're gonna come out. I don't know if I'm working it this time or not, because we didn't know I was working it last time. But that night we're gonna be at McPike Mansion. They're doing a tour that night, so we'll be at McPike, and from there in July 11th and 12th is the Paracon down in Conway, Arkansas, and that's Dark Night Paranormal's Paracon, and they'll be doing an investigation at the Fee House down there, and so I'll be doing that, hanging out with who is that?
Dwayne Holmes.
So there's that, and then don't know what else we're doing at this point in time, but that's what's on my books right now.
Nice.
We might be going to the Van Meter Festival.
Oh,
I don't know if we're going to that or not. This year, Ron only go to 2 with me, so that depends on which ones I go to. But Ron will go to Mineral Springs because Kelly will be there. He likes Kelly.
He has good taste, I see.
Yeah, he does. He likes Kelly a lot.
All right, Kel, where are you going to be?
So this Saturday, Chris and I are going to be helping Transcendent Paranormal Society with an investigation at the Grand Opera House in Dubuque. And then the following Saturday, there's potentially another investigation we're going to. It's kind of still up in the air. And then the next big thing that I have coming up, it's been officially announced, so I guess I will go ahead and just make this comment. For anybody who listened to my show on Wednesday, my guest was Jamie Chatt, the organizer of HaunaCon, and she has actually decided to postpone that show, and so that's going to actually be moved out to September 26th now. So that would have been my next big event. So that makes my next big event actually our Dubuque Psychic and Paranormal Expo. And that's April 25th and 26th. That's the event, one of the events that Mama Pat and I host, and that is at the Grand River Center. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's kind of my April.
Nice. I'm gonna just say a couple of mine, because for once I have so much.
You've got a big one coming up.
I have a bunch coming up, March 20th, I will be at the Hinsdale House with Dan Class, Madison Smith, and Kay Colburn. Dan obviously owns it. The other 2 are hosts on this network. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning those 3 out of everybody else. But there will be a show Friday night. Darren Buss interviews Shay. So that's happening next Friday. So you guys want to check it out. Darren did an awesome freaking job. April 13th, I will be on Storming the Unknown. That you can find that on RU Media. And then I'm going to skip a bunch of crap here. Not crap. But
it's all crap.
I didn't mean crap. I just meant I'm going to skip a bunch of stuff because usually I don't name off that much. But there's 2 important things I want to get out there. So if people haven't got their tickets yet, August 29th, I believe. Parsonsfield, Maine It's the Parsons Field Seminary event. Nicole and I are going back. This will be our second time. We're going to be helping out at the event. We're going to be running groups. So check that out. Yeah, it's fun. We had a great time. I said yes. Yeah, well, we said yes. We'll do it. Can we be in the same part for the first part of the night? There's also an overnight investigation, literally all night, that goes with it. So that will be awesome. That's August 29th. It's Parsons Field. If you can't find it, I've shared it on Sis Paranormal. I've shared it on Paranormal Buzz Radio, or Ask Me About It. So get your tickets while you can because it's limited. And October, Parafest Maine's coming up. Paranormal Buzz Radio is a sponsor. We're so proud to be going back there. Nicole and I should say. Paranormal Buzz Radio is a sponsor, and Sis Paranormal will have a booth, and Nicole and I are proud and so happy to be returning to that. So, in a couple weeks, I'll update my list, but for now, that's what I want to put out there.
Exciting.
Yes, I told you. I was only taking a short break. So, Denise, did you throw out your social media?
My social media is the Paranormal Pride on Facebook, and then there's me. You know, if you find me and I like you, I'll accept you.
Yes, I see. I like you.
She likes me. She really, really likes me.
She really likes me. I find it funny how the show happened. Denise hit me up with a couple names. She's like, you should have these people on your show. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. How about you? When you want to be on? I booked her first.
Oh, well, I'm still pushing to get David Glidden on stuff to help promote his Paracon on Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
The Paraconcert down in Joplin, Missouri. That is going to be an excellent time, but I'm going to be at my granddaughter's birthday party in Las Vegas.
Aww.
So I'm helping him as much as I can, get some vendors and some other things. I tend to know everybody, which helps a lot. But David Glidden is a really good guy, and I think your listeners will really enjoy him, especially.
Yeah, I've interviewed him before. Yes.
His sarcasm is excellent.
He fits right in on this show.
Yeah, he's like my kid. I mean, ever since I met him, he's been our kid. You know, we have a few of those in the paranormal, and he's one of them. And he's got the most beautiful daughter. I don't know how that happened. Must be the mother. But she is adorable. And then of course Josh Hurd. Everybody knows Josh Hurd, but he is such a good guy, and he's got a lot of things to share.
Yes, I agree with that. Definitely. Sorry, I was reading chat again. This is why I have Kelly, because I get distracted. But I love the fact that it's an interactive show. That's why it takes two of us. So.
Yep.
Like I said, next week we have Darren Buss, but we flipped the script and Darren Buss is interviewing me. So you guys catch that, because again, I'm impressed. He did really good. Really good.
Awesome.
So
good job, Darren.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in tonight. If you're in the chat, double thank you. If you're listening later, double thank you. Hey, listen now or later. We appreciate it. Couldn't do this without the listeners. Could not ask half the questions without Darren. The other half come from the rest of the guests. Sorry, I couldn't even say that without laughing. So, tune in next week for that show, and my new show's coming out soon too. Sorry, but I have to throw that in there before it's coming out real soon. If you don't know what it is, check out Exploring the Unknown Facebook group. Exploring the Unknown with Rebecca and Shay, I think it's called.
I think it's called.
That's okay.
I babysit way too many people and stuff to know my own stuff. I always forget my own stuff. I'm like, Kelly, message this person. Kelly, get this info. This person, this host, do this, do that. And then I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, you're scheduled and I haven't talked to you in 3 weeks. I forgot to tell you I'll be calling at 10 of. Like, it's crazy.
It's all good.
So,
well, it's like me. I wrote a story for a book. I can't tell you the name of the book that it's in, but it's a Haunted Road Media book. But I can't tell. I know what it's called. I know what my story's called, but I can't tell you the name of the book.
I bet you Mike could. I bet you Mike could. He has a good memory.
Oh, yeah. Mike knows which one it is.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Until next week, have a great night. Remember to love and respect one another. There we go.
What easy for you to say.
No, never. Nothing. I type worse than I talk. Trust me. If you go in public, you might want to wear a mask. Grab toilet paper from the restrooms. And stay safe. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.